Ladies and gentlemen, Annyeonghasimnika, Namaste, and a very good morning to all of you. I am Satyanshu Srivastav, Assistant Professor at Center for Korean Studies, JNU, and I welcome you to this inauguration of the 25th Hangeul Day celebration organized by the Center for Korean Studies, JNU, in collaboration with the Korean Culture Center, India. Hangeul Day celebration is one of the most important celebrations of our center, as this day is a Korean national commemorative day marking the invention and proclamation of the Korean alphabet. And it was done by none other than the 15th century Korean king, Sejong the Great. And we can easily say that the spirit of Korea is Hangeul and Hangeul is Korea. Now this year marks the 574th birthday of our dear alphabet Hangeul. And I would like to invite all of you to wish our beautiful alphabet a very happy birthday. And this year's celebration is a very special one for our center as well, as our center is celebrating its silver jubilee anniversary of the inception of the degree program in Korean studies. And to grace the occasion, we have a galaxy of dignitaries joining us today. I would like to request our chairperson, Professor Ravikesh, to introduce them, and also like to invite him for the welcome address. Over to you, Professor Ravikesh.
Thank you, Satyanshu. So, very good morning to all the dignitaries here. His Excellency Simbong Gil, Ambassador of Republic of Korea, Professor Chintamani Mohapatra, Rector of our university, Professor Syed Anwar Hassan, Dean of School of Language, Literature, Culture Studies, Mr. Kim Gung Pyong, Director, Korean Culture Center, Mr. Park Dong, President of Korean Association in India, all the distinguished guests, students, and dear participants. As we know that today is a very significant day, as we have gathered here for the celebration of two very significant events, that is Hangeul Day and also the completion of 25 years since the center started its degree courses in 1995. And as many of us would know that Hangeul Day is, I think, is possibly the only holiday which is devoted to celebrating a writing system in the world. And this holiday commemorates the invention of Korean alphabet Hangeul. It is also considered as one of the most scientific writing system in the world, which can be learned in a very few hours. So today I will practice my Hangeul with some few Korean today. So 우리는 오늘 우리 학과의 가장 중요하고 임기 있는 행사인 한글날을 기념하기 위해서 이곳에서 모였습니다. 또한 여러 저명한 분들을 이번 행사를 통해 모시게 된 것을 영광이라고 생각합니다. 이번 행사를 위해 귀한 시간을 내주신 것에 감사의 말씀을 전합니다. 올해는 우리 모두에게 매우 중요한 해입니다. 왜냐하면 1995년부터 한국어 학위 과정이 도입된 이래 올해로 25년이 되는 해이기 때문입니다. 한국어과 1회 졸업생으로서 네루대학교의 한국어과와 함께 했던 25년이 제 인생의 여정이 된 것은 저에게 크나큰 영광이라고 생각합니다. 한글날은 모든 학생과 선생님들이 이 행사를 기념하기 위해 최선을 다해 준비하고 오랫동안 기다려온 행사입니다. 우리는 한국의 예술 전시회, 음식 축제, 영화 상영, 세미나, 노래 자랑 대회와 같은 행사를 준비하였고 현재 연설, 글쓰기 대회, 디지털 카메라 C 경연 대회와 같은 새로운 행사를 추가하였습니다. 이 행사들은 네루대학교 학생들 사이에서 매우 인기가 있습니다. 잠시 후 여러분들께 행사의 일부를 선보여 드리겠습니다. 25주년을 기념하는 오늘 여러분의 아낌없는 성원에 힘입어 앞으로도 많은 문화 학술 행사가 개최될 뿐만 아니라 우리 한국학과가 인도와 남아시아에서 한국학을 가르치고 연구하는 중심이 되도록 노력하겠다고 생각합니다. 전 세계적으로 전례 없는 코로나 대유형 위기 상황에 직면해 있는 가운데서도 인도의 고등학교에서 한국어가 제2 외국어로 중 하나로 추가됐고 인도 교과서에 한국에 대한 정보가 추가됐다는 두 가지 소식은 모든 사람의 얼굴에 기쁨을 가져다 준 의미 있고 긍정적인 소식입니다. 이 같은 한국어 교육 발전의 가속화는 우리에게 주어진 책임을 그 어느 때보다 더욱 커지게 하였습니다. 앞으로 우리는 인도에서 한국어 보급의 진흥과 인도 한국의 국제관계 증진을 위해 더욱 긴밀히 협력해 나갈 것입니다. 다시 한번 소중한 손님분들과 귀빈 여러분을 진심으로 환영하여 저희를 늘 칭찬해 주셔서 감사의 말씀을 전해드리고 이만 줄이겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Professor Ravikesh, Chairperson, Center for Korean Studies, JNU. Thank you for your welcome remarks, sir. Now moving on, we have our rector, Professor Chintamani Mahapatra from JNU, and I would like to request him very humbly to deliver his inauguration.
Namaste, good morning to all.
Mr. Sir.
Ambassador Shin Bongkil, the director of the Korean Cultural Center, the president of the Korean Association of India, and the dean of School of Languages, Professor Ravikesh, the chairperson of the Korean Studies Center, my dear students, colleagues, friends. I really feel honored that I was asked to give the inaugural address on such an important event today. And the importance of the event is also reflected in the fact that early in the morning, almost early in the morning during the pandemic time, 80 people are part of this celebration. And only yesterday in Seoul, I think the Indian Studies Center of the Hangeul University and Vivekananda Cultural Center organized an event where I gave a special address on Gandhi. Now, Gandhi was important, is important, will continue to be important. And the way the South Korea has developed over the decades, and the way the Korean culture, language is spreading around the world is also something very, very notable. This is the time to remember the great king Sejong, and way back in 15th century when he thought that it was so important to have a script for the language, and before that the script was totally different with Chinese characters. That was a fantastic innovation done by the Korean people. And from then on today, if you list out the achievements in science, technology, innovation, Korea I would regard as one of the major powers in the world today. Now, it became possible for 100% literacy in Korea because of the language. The language is integral to the culture. And when the country is trying to make the rest of the world know the Korean culture and Korean language, I think the effort of the cultural centers around the world are also very, very important. I got initiated into not the Korean language but the Korean politics long time ago in 1986-87 when I was in London as a Commonwealth scholar. I was based in School of Oriental and African Studies, but I was invited to make a presentation in a conference in London School of Economics where my paper was in South Korea, the transition to democracy. And later, of course, that particular paper was published by Macmillan. From then on, since I specialized on developments in the Indo-Pacific, earlier Asia-Pacific, I have been watching, studying, observing the developments in the Korean Peninsula in general and South Korea in particular. Now, today it is so fascinating the way the K-pop and the BTS are doing so well around the globe, and people are really liking the Korean language and the culture and the music and the art so much that even the Korean government, South Korean government, is trying to help the BTS and the K-pop to promote the language. And it was really thrilling to read, because I specialize in the United States. It was thrilling to read recently when that particular app was sold in the United States. In 20 minutes it was sold. In Japan, in 3 hours it was sold. So this is one of the things that in fact we Indians should also learn, how the Korean people are trying to make the language known to the rest of the world, because it is good for political relationship and diplomatic ties. It is important for carrying on the business activities and of course knowing one another. So this is really a good thing, and I'm happy to be part of this particular program. And let me also underline the fact that Indian Army officers are now learning the Korean language. It's a program for about 28 weeks, and it will end in December first week. That indicates the level of relationship between my country and South Korea, the new strategic partner. And of course, even the IGNU is also launching some Korean language program. In Japan, again, this is another fantastic thing that the Indians should learn. The volunteers from South Korea, the college students, they go to Japan and they help the Japanese students learn the Korean language. Now, I have spent a lot of time in Vietnam as well. And let me tell you that Vietnamese people are great people, great friends, very dynamic, very industrious. But until today, Vietnamese language does not have a script. So someday they are going to develop it. And South Korea did it in 15th century. So this is really remarkable, a lot of things to learn, and I believe the Sejong Korean language institutes are now going to be set up in many parts of the world. It is already there in so many countries. So the time has come to celebrate really King Sejong's achievement as well as this Hangeul script. And yet again, let me thank Professor Avikes to ask me to give a few remarks in the inaugural session of this great event. Thank you very much.
Next, I would like to request the head of our school, the Dean, Professor Syed Ainul Hassan sir, Dean of School of Language, Literature and Culture Studies of JNU, to deliver his congratulatory address.
Thank you very much, Professor Chintamani Mahapatra, Rector, Excellency Shin Bong-kil, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea, Professor Ravi Kesh, Chairperson, Korean Studies, Professor Kim Do-yoon, Director, Korean Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia, Mr. Kim Poon-pyong, Director, Korean Culture Center, and Mr. Yu Don Park, President, Korean Association in India, host of dignitaries, students, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Let me confess that I have never been to Korea, ever. But from a distance, I can imagine the richness of Korean culture. As someday I mentioned, maybe last year only, that I had the privilege of teaching Hindi to Korean embassy's diplomats way back in 1984-85. And as I mentioned, out of a number of my students, every second person was a Kim. And in this way, I can affiliate myself to the Korean fraternity. And all of us know the importance of Hangeul Day. It is celebrated with commemorative event, and in order to spread Hangeul's originality and scientific superiority, and further enhancing pan-national awareness and affection towards the language and the script. I humbly submit that the process of learning requires certain enjoyment and amusement. I personally believe. And that's how you see we have the School of Language, Literature and Culture Studies. We cannot separate culture from language, from literature. And today what I see, that there is a combination of all, particularly the culture and the process of learning. And to be brief, there is a proverbial expression that however much you acquire knowledge, if you don't put it into practice, you shall remain ignorant. So therefore, we require something to put into practice. And what exactly we have been doing today. And I'm sure during the long day exercise, participant will learn many things and enjoy at the same time. I think once again, I wish all the best to Professor Ravikesh and his team. See, I must mention his team because there are some, young and dynamic teachers and students. They always contribute a lot. And today also they will be contributing a lot. And wishing once again all the best for a successful program. Thank you very much.
Korean Association in India, Mr. Park Hee-dong, with us, and I would like to request him to take over the mic and please deliver his congratulatory address. Mr. Park Hee-dong.
안녕하십니까. Namaste. Thank you. I'm now working for Korean Association in India, and it is my great privilege to join here today in inaugural event. First of all, please let me express my heartiest congratulations and my gratitude for Hangeul Day Celebration 2020, organized by JNU Center for Korean Studies. Over 1,500 members of our Korean Association are now deeply grateful for annual special celebration of this joyous and special event for Hangeul Day. This year, due to unprecedented corona pandemic, Korean speaking contest and the Korean singing contest seems to be conducted through online platform. But as we notice the development of these wonderful events, it really warms all Korean expats' heart thankful. This year, our celebration of Hangeul Day is much more meaningful and carry much more pride. This year, our celebration of reason being the Ministry of Education has officially selected Korean language as a second language curriculum this year. And furthermore, now we are witnessing the increasing number of universities and institutions for Korean linguistic course. In North India, Delhi, JNU and Jamia Millia Ismaila and Delhi University. In Northeast, Maipalpur Impal University. In South India, Hyderabad English and Foreign Language University. Or they are now teaching Hangeul as opening the Korean linguistic course and the Korean study centers. It is really great. And I believe this number of 4 universities will be turning to 10 and again 20 in near future. Really great phenomenal progress for both of us, India and Korea. The excellent talents studied here will greatly contribute to the increase in bilateral exchange between India and Korea in future. We foresee a big increase of Korean industry entrance to India. And we believe the jump in interaction of Koreans and Indians. Currently, there are around 200,000 exchanges every year, which will reach million in near future. And Korean population in India will also increase soon. All these visionary development can be tangible within next decade. Most of all, the relationship between Korea and India has a perfect complementary structure that coexist and cooperate with each other to grow together. Advanced manufacturing experience of Korean industry and the Indian advanced software technology and experience is a perfect complementary condition. India needs to attract investment from outside and need to upgrade their domestic manufacturing industry by the help of from outside. And Korea needs to find global market and global partner as orienting outward, which is another perfect complementary condition between two economies. These two countries' perfect complementary position definitely and eventually will be leading to the great cooperation and beautiful synergy for the two economies' success story coming future. Especially in the next generation of industry, which is so-called coming industry 4.0, based on artificial intelligence and the big data and the cloud computing, electrical vehicle, autonomous driving technology, and the 5G networks, and the Internet of Things. We, India and Korea, will have a huge opportunity to make much bigger cooperation and synergy together in this new generation of industry. And the talents who studied Hangeul at Korea Study Center in various universities and institutions across India will play much critical key role for the promising future for both countries. Let us make it happen together as early as possible, please. Once again, my sincere appreciation and congratulations on our and on your Hangeul Chukha celebration 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Pakidong. Thank you very much for your very inspiring words today. And I think the Korean Association in India has to play a really important role in India-Korea friendship, and they have played a wonderful role all throughout. And we seek your support and mentorship in future also. Thank you very much. Moving on, we were expecting the director of Korean Culture Center today with us, but he, due to some reason, he is not present, but he has sent a video message for us.
Namaskar, dosto, professors and students. I'm so happy that you have Hangeul event this year too. I hope through this event, I hope you improve your Korean language and develop yourself too. I think after coronavirus, India will be divided by winners and losers. You know what I mean. I hope you work hard and become winners. And actually, I'm going to leave India next week. I was very happy. Almost 10 years service I have done. I was so happy to meet you, and let's continue our relationship. When you come to Korea, I will definitely treat you. The
director, Mr. Kim Gun-pyong, and he has been instrumental in helping our center and the whole the mission of promoting Korean culture in India. I think he was tremendous in his job, and he was here for 8-9 years, and now he's going back. and we all will share the fond memories that he's leaving behind, and we hope the next director comes and he's equally warm and nice as he was. Thank you, Director Kim Gung-pyong, once again for all that you have done for our center and for promoting Korean culture in India. Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring words. We wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Now it's time to invite, and it gives me a great pleasure to invite the guest of honor for today's event, the inaugural event of Hangeul Day, 25th Hangeul Day celebrations at Center for Korean Studies in collaboration with Korean Culture Center. His Excellency, Mr. Shin Bong-kil, the Honorable Ambassador of Republic of Korea, to deliver his congratulatory address. Over to you, Ambassador, sir.
Thank you, Professor Srivastava. Professor Lavikesh, Chairperson, Professor Mahapatra, Professor Ainur Hassan. I would like to thank you for inviting me to this very meaningful event. It's a real pleasure for me to join you all this at the Hangeul Day celebration. Despite COVID-19, I'm glad that we are able to connect with each other and organize our important events through digital medium. Let me first express my deep gratitude to the Center for Korean Studies of JNU for organizing this Hangeul Day celebration every year to mark the invention and proclamation of Korean alphabet Hangul on 9th October by the great King Sejong. As you all are aware, for Koreans, Hangul is much more than just the Korean alphabet. It represents the very basis of the identity of Korean people and the Korean nation. With the invention and proclamation of Hangul, the Korean culture has been bestowed with a distinct identity. It is certainly a matter of great joy for all the Koreans to celebrate the Hangeul Day with pride and honor. Actually, Korea, today we don't work, but in Delhi we all work. As Ambassador of the Republic of Korea to India, I am proud to witness increasing interest and enthusiasm for Korean language among Indian people. This is evident in the fact that leading Indian universities are offering Korean language courses. Recently, in keeping with growing popularity and demand of Korean language in the country, the government of India introduced Korean language as one of the foreign languages at secondary level of school education in the NEP, National Economic Education Policy 2020. Actually, my President Moon Jae-in days ago tweeted personally this happy news that Korean language is recommended as a second languages at the high school, and he also introduced today's event between Korean Cultural Center with JNU. And I was, when I read this news at the Korean media, I was really encouraged. I would like to share it with you. 문재인 대통령님께서 그 본인의 트위터로 이렇게 직접 한글이 인도의 이 고등학교 과정에서 제2외국어로 이렇게 추천이 됐다 하는 거에 대한 그 기쁜 마음을 쉐어했고, 또 오늘 JNU에서 이렇게 중요한 행사를 한다 하는 것을 그 트위터에서 이야기하셨습니다. I'm sure this growing interest of our two people in each other's language and culture will drive our bilateral relations to a level that our two countries aspire to take. I can note that to celebrate the occasion, a series of events including Korean script handwriting competition, Korean singing competition, Korean speaking contest, and other activities is being organized on spot or through video submission. My best wishes are with all the participants. I'm sure these experiences will go a long way in further strengthening the mutual understanding and friendship between our two people, which in turn will consolidate special strategic partnership between our two countries. With these remarks, I wish you all a safe and happy Hangeul Day celebration. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your very encouraging remarks. And I think it's for India-Korea friendship, this day is a wonderful event to celebrate, and especially for our center where we study Korea and Korean people and Korean culture and Korean language. Thank you very much, sir, for always supporting us and for your dynamism and helping out whenever we need your support. Thank you very much for your presence today.